Hello, world. Good morning. We are back with the Founders and Innovators Morning Show. I'm Joia, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Britt, who is one of the co founders of Tulu Systems. And Britt, I know your company does a lot with big data, so I thought we could jump in there because I think you just have some really great insights about how big data is transforming the world in ways that a lot of us don't even think about. As much as we're aware of it, we're not really aware of it. So tell me more about what you see.
Yeah, well, one, I appreciate you having me on, and two, this is a topic always I'm really excited about because we're in the thick of it. So we're mainly focused in commercial buildings, and there's a lot of big data in consumer homes now. You see it with like Alexa, and you see it with even with just your computer. The computer is taking all the information about where you visit online and aggregating it, and then advertisers are using that data to pinpoint advertisements to you. So that's like the simple way that we touch big data day to day. But in commercial buildings, big data hasn't really been involved in that equation yet. So one of the big ways, so like the air systems that send air into your office or heat and cool it or treat it or any of that stuff, those cost building owners about $1.62 per square foot per year, which is really, really expensive over time. But the majority of that cost is wrapped up in having a technician walk up to the equipment on the roof. So he's got to take all of his tools, climb up on the roof, open up the machine, hook up a bunch of sensors, and then diagnose what's going wrong with the equipment. And they do this about 4 times per year to try and catch things before it goes wrong. But obviously that's not enough time because that means there's 525,000 minutes of data points that aren't being measured. So these things break a lot. They're really inefficient. They cost a lot of energy, and they make spaces hot or cold when they should be, the other way. So what we've done is we've taken hardware and sensors and we place those in those machines, and then we gather data every 15 seconds. So we're gathering between 30 to 50 million points every single day on that piece of equipment. And when you have all of that data, suddenly you can start sending that to the cloud, and the cloud is just basically like a big brain that can run millions and millions and millions of simulations on that data to see what's currently going on with the unit, as well as predict what's going to happen in the future. And throughout history, that's how humans have worked, just on a smaller scale. Humans are data collectors. If we have a problem, we take our tools or we take our 5 senses and we apply it to that and gather data from the problem. And then we use our brain to process that data to find a solution for it. And now with computing power and now with really inexpensive sensors, we can take as much data from the environment as we want, and then we can process it as much as we want to basically solve some really cool things and predict things that we used to think we couldn't predict before. So it's changing a lot of stuff, both in the commercial industry. They're starting to do it in the healthcare industry, which is really neat. Bacteria in our gut is a big factor in our health, and they're able to sequence that bacteria to understand and predict, future health issues and address those. So it's a really exciting time to be alive with computing power because basically we have super brains behind everything that we do, and we can control them.
That's awesome. And I know you have a really interesting story of how you came to this because you didn't start out in big data.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I for people that are watching, like I'm in my home office and you can see there's some sound panels up in the back and stuff. So before I was in like the business world or tech world, I toured for about 10 years in a rock and roll band around the country. And so kind of I did a lot. What I loved about it was I loved music obviously, but I loved growing it. So I did all of like the business management, I did all of the radio sales, I did all of the booking and production, and I programmed all the lights and all this crazy stuff. So it was a lot of fun. And then when I wanted to get married, I met this girl, and on a 3-month tour, I was like, oh, okay, like day 10, I was like, I miss her so much, I'm going to fly home. And I've never flown home from a tour before. I was like, okay, I probably should start to figure out how to settle down. So I started doing interviews while I was on the road. I would fly home for interviews, and I met this guy named Ron Blaser at a mechanical company. And I was interviewing at a lot of tech companies because I wanted to be in big data because that's where I thought, the world was going. And it was this small mechanical company, and I drove up. It was kind of in this office off the side of the highway, and it's like, I drove up. I'm not going to work here, but I'll do the interview. And Ron had a really big vision for what data could do for the world, and how it was going to play a part in that company's role. And so we started working together. I was really inspired by that vision. And then about 6 months ago, I left that company full time to work for Tulu. We've been working on this for about 1.5 years, and but 6 months ago was the right time to get on board full time, and that's where I am today.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me, so where do you think it's headed? What's your vision for Tulu and beyond?
Yeah, so right now, what we can do, we can modularly deploy sensors around a building. So basically, that just means anything in a building we can measure, and if you can measure it in business, you can manage it. So we're starting with the most complicated systems like HVAC, which is like basically a big car engine sitting on your rooftop. We're starting to do energy. Up to, commercial buildings consume 70% of the electricity in the United States. And then up to 50% of that is wasted every year on problems that are preventable. So it's not just like, oh, you don't have efficient lighting, or maybe you don't have an efficient unit. It's that, there's human behaviors. You plugged in space heaters when you shouldn't plug in space heaters, or you scheduled everything to turn on at once, so it has a big spike in energy. But if you can't determine what's causing that, there's no way for you to fix it. So the same way that we deploy sensors on an HVAC unit, we're able to deploy it on a power panel unit, so that we can determine exactly what inside a building is turning on when and how much energy it's using. And then we can deploy some of the same like equations and algorithms in big data to say, hey, this is how you go and fix that. So we're doing that right now as well. The goal is to take data from the real world and transform it into amazing solutions. And so we're doing that with HVAC. We're doing that with energy. The goal is to move into inventory for buildings like toilet paper or cleaning supplies, as well as elevators and escalators and occupancy and all that stuff. So that's the big vision for it. We want to be able to, if you have a problem in a building, you can Tulu it, you can solve it, basically.
Mm-hmm. I love that little catchphrase. Can you give us an example of a real world impact that this big data has had?
Yeah. So one of the most exciting ones for me. So just last week, we installed something for the energy side in a commercial building, and it's starting to tick along. You can measure it, and you can see about 2 a.m. every night. There's this big spike in energy that's using as much as the midday energy is using. So that's weird because no one's in this office building at 1 a.m. in the morning. And so then you can drill down. You'd be like, oh, whoa, the elevator's short cycling, so it's turning on and resetting and going up and down and using all this energy in the night, and it's due to a misprogrammed schedule, within the actual building system. So that was really, really cool. Like just that, is going to save a building owner $1,200 to $2,000, and it's going to save thousands of kilowatt hours in energy every year. So that's what's really exciting to me, is that we've got to start figuring out how to reduce our energy consumption. It's not just that we need to become more efficient or on more renewable. We also have to figure out, with what we do have, how do we reduce that? The average building stands for 70 years. And so whatever's been installed in that building since 1980, it's going to be there till 2050. So you got to figure out how to make that more efficient. And that's what we're doing. And I'm really, really excited about that part.
That's amazing. So tell us a little more then about your journey into being an entrepreneur, because you made this big jump. Music and entrepreneurship are very different things. So
Sort of.
what
Yeah.
sort of so what kind of advice would you have for people who maybe they're in a similar place where they're
Yeah.
doing something that seems like it's completely opposite, but maybe it's not so opposite? What are some of the through lines
Yeah.
to
So I think
entrepreneurship?
what I found, so like with the music side, I was the one of the owners of the business,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, how do we grow this? How do I get enough stuff for the guys in my group to basically live? How do we play enough shows to make money, and then work at the mechanical companies? How do I grow this company enough so that the techs are working and not having to don't have to go home to their families like, I don't have work this week. And I think as an entrepreneur, like, it's just a growth mindset. That's what it means. So that applies to basically anything. And not everyone is built that way, which is good. Like, I'm really glad that there are people that want to maintain and they want to keep the status quo, and they make that good, because I'm terrible at that. I'm terrible at maintaining. And so I think my biggest advice is, a lot of times entrepreneurs get real tunnel vision, and they think, okay, I'm only going to do this. I'm going to grow fast, grow quickly, all this stuff. And you do need to grow fast, and you do need to grow quickly, but you also need to surround yourself with people that are going to hold you accountable, and they're also going to maintain things. And because if you don't have people like that in your life, you're going to leave just a wake of destruction behind you. And so that's been really neat. We're a team of 6 right now at Tulu, and we've got some. We've got our team works really well together. It's just one of those things that kind of magically happens. Like, whoa, everyone works good. We got good chemistry, and everyone kind of pushes and pulls in their own way. So that way we can move forward and not do crazy things. And people have crazy ideas, but we don't do destructive ideas. And that's the accountability that we have. So surrounding yourself with the right people, I think, is the majority of the battle of being successful. And yeah, that would be my advice, is find those people.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how teamwork works among the Tulu group? Because
Yeah.
I know that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs that almost is like the unicorn within the entrepreneurial world, is how do I find the right people? So can you give us a vision of
Yeah.
like your experience of when it works? What does it look like?
Yeah, so Ron, I have to Ron, the CEO of the company. I got to give credit to him because he's the one that's put together the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he found me from like an interview at a mechanical company. He found one of the technical co-founder. I think he found him on a message board.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we're pretty in terms of who we add to the team. We want independent thinker people that have their specific skill set and they're going to work hard on their own. Obviously, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But we do we all work remote. So every week we do two called stand-up meetings. We adhere to the agile process. So on Sunday night and Thursday night at 7 p.m., everyone hops on to, we use Microsoft Teams, and we all give an update about what we're doing and then push and pull and like, okay, this is reasonable or this is not. And then as we, we do a lot of wireframing of stuff, everything from like not just software, but also hardware and
Mm-hmm.
even the marketing and sales. So before we go and invest a bunch of time in building something, we wireframe it just so the idea is proof of concept, and then we go over that with the team, and then we're determining, what's the minimum compelling thing about this, or the minimum compelling product. I
Mm-hmm.
like people say minimum viable product, but minimum compelling product because there's what people will pay for, but then there's what is compelling to customers. So that's what we're driving towards is, what are customers going to pay for and be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really key thing. And so we have a really we have an iron focus on where we're going. So all we do is argue about how we get there. I think the
Mm-hmm.
problem with a lot of teams is people argue about where
Where
they're
they're
going.
going.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all united under the same vision. Ron's done a great job of that, and we're just arguing about how to get there, and that's a fun argument to have. So.
Yeah. Can you say something about, because it sounds like Ron was the one who had the vision and got you on board. So
Yep.
how did that work? What is it like to be the person who can kind of hear someone else's vision and then make it your own? Can you speak about that process?
Yeah. So I think it was an interesting position to be in because like for most of my life I've always been the visionary, and then to
Mm-hmm.
meet someone I was like, whoa, like this guy's got even bigger than I've ever thought of.
Mm-hmm.
It was inspiring for me. And then Ron and I had a really good synergy, and it was kind of like keep building the vision, and what he's really good at, our working relationship is nice, is that he has like crazy goals, and then my vision is like, okay, how do I best accomplish those goals?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we worked on. So it works really well, and we still butt heads, obviously, because we're people and we care a lot about what we're doing. If you don't butt heads about it, means you probably don't care about what you're doing. So that's exciting, and like I really enjoy working with him, and yeah, he's one of the most interesting people I know too. So that's like his one of the first interview questions was like, if you had to fill this room with golf balls quickly, how would you do it? And so it's like, okay, yeah, this is like a weird interview question, but let's figure it out. So he's really intuitive, and I really jive with that. So that was really cool to get. It was easy for me to get behind that vision because he had a bigger and better vision than I had, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been fun working with him.
Wait, but now I'm really curious. How would you fill a room really quickly with golf balls?
Yeah, so for that one, I just punch a hole in the roof and then take a dump truck with a bunch of like a hose, and you just run it in there. And sorry, his first question actually was, how would you determine how many golf balls would fill this room? Like how would you figure that out? And so then it was like, okay, I would take one box of golf balls that would be an X amount of space, and I'd multiply it. And then he asked how it would fill it. He did other stuff too, like if you had to take apart your car and reassemble it in a day, how would you go about assembling the team for that? Stuff like that. He really likes to know how people think, and he's pretty good at asking questions that make me think. So, yeah.
That's amazing. So we're almost out of time, but tell people if they're interested to know more about you, about Tulu Systems, how can they find out more?
Yeah, so if you want to find out more, you can just go to tulusystems.com. Our name is spelled Tulu, so just tulusystems.com. If you Google us, you'll find us as well. We're on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and all that stuff. And we're going to be, we've got pilots out there with customers right now in the industrial and medical building sectors. But in November, we're launching the actual HVAC for all consumers, and it's really inexpensive. So you can probably buy it online. You can also buy the power panel stuff right now. So we've got that available today.
That's so exciting. I'm definitely going to be looking out for that. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe, review, and share this show. If you'd like exclusive content and behind-the-scenes insight, for just $4 a month, you can support us at buymeacoffee.com. Now, go make it a great day. Ask me why.